Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Israelites 13 channel. I'm joined with my partner, Carl, tonight. Carl, how are you doing, buddy?
Doing great, buddy. Good to be here, man.
All right. Carl, would you, before we start the show, we had said in a phone conversation you wanted to give some prayers to some dear friends of yours. Would you like to
Well,
go
I got
ahead and,
prayer. I'd ask the listeners out there just to remember the lady we were talking about, Miss Emily, trying to have her on the show. She's got some stuff going on in her life. She needs some prayer. I won't go into detail because she confided in me what was going on. And also, a good friend of mine that I knew in the military, I knew him and his wife, and she just passed away. So he's going through a hard time. So if you guys remember them in your prayers, that would be nice.
all right, good stuff. All right. Tonight's topic is the ancient gods of the Bible, and we've talked about this obviously in depth in past shows, but tonight we're going to hit it from a little different angle, and we're going to go into some hidden texts, the actual rejected books uh, from the Council of Nicaea and the Council of Trent that, as Carl and I have spoken in the past, and we're going to try to give the viewer a different understanding and a different viewpoint. And I think the viewer will come to his own conclusion, and in the end, you'll see why exactly that these books were rejected from being put into the Bible in the first place. Carl, you want to go ahead and read this slide right here?
Okay, God's only begotten Son, question mark. John 3:16. King James Version. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life.
What are your first thoughts on that, on this verse in the Bible here, Carl?
Okay,
What
my
does the
first,
Judeo-Christian church tell you who this son is?
yes, sir. Uh Jesus, the only begotten Son is Jesus, which again, that we know that's not the only one, but and then it so loved the world. What world? The cosmos, the known, the world as it relates to Adam and his children. This didn't extend to the Mongols. It didn't extend to Mughal India, to the dynasties of China, sub-Saharan Africa. This is to a particular group of people. And I'm gonna go ahead and jump in there and say, just like the Bible says in Genesis, this is a book of the genealogy of Adam. Adam, that's it. Not the Confucius, no other race on the planet except for the genealogy that came out of the loins of Adam.
And you know as well as I do that the Catholic Church has universalized this meaning of of his begotten son, that everyone's included. So having said that, I want to be redundant because we said that in the past. So let's move on to the next slide here. All right, Carl, I'm going to minimize our face because I can't see this. So you want to go ahead and take this, Carl?
Okay, all right. El Ra is equals God's sons of light or the gods. And we're going to take from the book of Adam and Eve, start at verse 13. For I knew thou shouldest sin and transgress. Jesus speaking to Adam, right?
Yes, sir.
And came and come out of this land. Yet would I not force thee, nor be heard upon thee, nor shut up, nor doom thee through thy fall, nor through thy coming out from light into darkness, nor yet through thy coining from the garden into this land. For I made thee, O Adam, of light, and I will to bring out children of light from thee, and like unto thee. But thou wouldst not keep one day my commandment until I had finished the creation and blessed everything in it. Then I commanded thee concerning the tree, that thou eat not thereof. Yet I knew that Satan, who deceived himself, would also deceive thee. So I made known to thee by means of the tree not to come near him, meaning Satan, and told thee not to eat of the fruit thereof, nor taste of it, nor yet to sit under.
Wow. Definitely a powerful verse. This is from the Ethiopic text. We've read this in the past several times. And if you look into this tree, like we've said in the past, this tree that he's talking about is this lower rank angel, Satan. And the forbidden trees, as we said in the past, Adam and Satan were both forbidden to each other to mix in their seed line. It was not allowed. So having said that, Carl, do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, he's telling what I'm reading here. He's telling him not to eat of the fruit thereof. In other words, not to have any relations, physical relations. Don't do that. Nor to sit under it. In other words, don't put yourself in under the control of or associate with in any way. Not to listen to the leadership. Not to worship. Have nothing to do with this tree, which is not a bush with leaves on it, obviously.
No doubt. And what stands out to me is if you read this 14 right here, it says, "For I made thee, O Adam, of the light, and I willed to bring out children of light from thee and like unto thee." Well, what does Jesus say in the Bible? He says, "I am the light of the world." So if he's the the original light of the world, this is his son, and he's telling him, "I wanted you to bring out children of light." And throughout all the earth and known recorded history, we keep hearing stories in every civilization about the gods, the pantheon of these gods. And these gods, Carl and I are telling you, again, in this show, we're starting off the same way we have our others, but we're telling you in this show that this Adam was made of the light of our Father, Jesus Christ, not Yahweh. It's Israel, not Israel. And he's telling you that he wanted him to bring children out of light. And magically, we have these children, these pantheon of gods, these children of the Most High God that ruled the earth in a worldwide caste system under Adam. And Carl and I are going to go through a few of these civilizations and reveal who the pantheon of gods are. So, Carl, you have any last thoughts before I move on to the next slide?
Let's do it, brother.
All right. All right. So go ahead. I'll take this one, Carl. It says the Council of the Gods, Job 38:7, King James Version. No, excuse me, this is actually from the Wycliffe. "When the morrow stars praised me together, and all the sons of God sang joyfully." Psalms 82, "God standeth in the congregation of the mighty, he judgeth among the gods." Plural, not singular, not John 3:16, "For God so he gave his only begotten." That's a contradiction. All through the Bible, he talks about the sons of God. Okay, he didn't appoint them sons, they were begotten of the light. Just like he just told you in the books of Adam and Eve, right here, "For I made thee, O Adam, of light." Who is the light? Jesus Christ, the light of the world. Gospel of Nicodemus, Jesus said, "Come to me, ye my sons, who I made in my image." This is Adam, these are the sons, and these are the sons of God from the pantheon of these gods that ruled the entire earth. So any last thoughts, Carl, before I move on to the next one?
I can just say I've never one time heard a preacher from the pulpit preach out of the book of Nicodemus or any of these other texts at all.
Yeah, that's taboo, bro. It's just not allowed.
Yes, sir.
The World Council of Churches will not allow that, bro. So this is from an ancient Coptic text. I think it dates 3rd, 4th century. This is known as the Kitab al-Ida. And if I killed that pronunciation, please forgive me. Carl, do you want to take this?
I'll go with it, brother. When God created the angels as foremost of what he created in heaven and earth, Satan was the leader of the first and highest rank. He became arrogant and fell down together with all the host that was with him. Therefore, God begat Adam. Didn't say created there, did it? It said begat Adam and Eve to rule over them. And by those who were created out of them over high rank from which Satan fell down, Satan knew this. He worked against Adam and Eve until they committed sin like him. They fell under his power. They sat under the shade of his tree. They were cast down from paradise to earth, upon which he fell down. At this moment, Satan was anointed over Adam together with 2 of his soldiers, the impure spirits, the angel of death who fell down with him. When they, Adam and Eve, have sex like animals and give birth to children, he appointed an impure spirit over every one of their children. That explains a lot. For if the parents are his slaves, then their children are the same. The impure spirit, which is appointed over Adam, man, stays with him until the day of his death. When the ugly appearance of the impure spirit, which is appointed over him, is revealed, immediately his fear goes up, his thirst increases, his blood dries, and his soul leaves his body. The impure spirit takes it down, and I've got something in the way, down into hell, which is below.
All right, let's go to the next slide, and then we'll come back and give a little commentary on it. Go ahead, Carl.
The children of Adam stayed like this for 5,500 years until Jesus Christ, who is God manifest in the flesh, was born from the pure Virgin Mary without human relation. When Jesus was born, no one of the impure spirits who used to be appointed over the newly born sons and daughters of Adam was able to approach the door of the cave where Jesus was born due to the great number of the heavenly host that were around it. They hurried back to their leader, the Antichrist, the liar, and told him he fears the prophecies with which the prophets announced that the word of God will come and save Adam and his offspring out of him. When the soldiers told him about the great number of angels that were around the cave where he was born, Satan became afraid. He knew that the newborn was the one whose name the angels announced. He hurried to the cave. God, who came to set the secret for our salvation, intended to hide himself from him in order that he not know that he is God. He indicated to all the angels to leave heaven. He moved the heart of his mother to wrap him in rags and put him in a manger. When the impure reached the cave, he did not see any of the angels whom the soldier saw. Satan saw the Lord in his poor state. He immediately doubted. He thought that he is not God, but a weak man. He left him. Satan then moved King Herod to kill him in order to be relieved of his fear. When Joseph and the Virgin Mary fled to Egypt, his fear was removed. God made sure that Jesus was a weak man. If he were God, he would have no need to flee. God dealt with him in the same way for 30 years that he lived on earth. He neither showed him his ability nor revealed his power in order not to be recognized.
Let me go to the next slide here. All right, Carl, let me back up here. Okay, having read those two slides, Carl, what are some of your thoughts on those slides, Carl? These books that have been, these were the rejected books, the ones that were not allowed to go into the Bible. And this is something new that we're bringing to the table here. So, Carl, what do you think?
Not allowed in the Bible because this absolutely expands on the story and fills in the blanks, which takes away the power of the organized church under Esau, Edom, and Cain to control you and to have to go to them for the answers and keep you in a stupor or a delusion where you don't know what's going on and fits right in with my people perish for lack of knowledge. Now I'm done with that rant. Look, when God created angels, foremost, he's saying right here that he created man or Adam kind higher than these angels, and
yes,
that ticked them angels off, didn't it?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. The archons did not like that, definitely. Well, is there any sentence here or paragraph in this little clip or slide here that stands out to you?
Okay. Well, I'm looking at these angels that are appointed over each one of us as we're born, and it makes sense to me now because I've come up through some weird raising in the church as a Christian, and I've had to struggle with what would have to be impure spirit my entire life. Being a Christian, professing Christian, there's always something there coming against us to cause us to sin and cause us to fall.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, what I'm getting, I mean, I'll scroll through it, and if there's something that stands out to you, just chime in, bro. Let me know. But where he says right here, God begat Adam and Eve to rule over them, and and by those who were created out of them. We literally just read. I'm going to back up.
Oh,
I'm going to back up to right here. For I made thee, O Adam, of the light, and I willed to bring out children of light from thee and like unto thee. So here he's telling you right here that God begat Adam and Eve to rule over them, and by those who were created out of them. That means other sons of light, not just John 3:16, God so loved the world. And that is one of the most uh, misquoted verses in the Bible, taken out of context that I've ever heard in my life, in my opinion. But these books are clarifying here that there were other gods. And if you were born of this line from Adam, the son of God, Luke 3:38, that you were by your genetic connection to your father Adam, you were known as a god because you were made of light, just like God said in the books of Adam and Eve. So, Carl, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, and think about this now. As we go further down, it's talking about when Adam and Eve, have sex like animals and give birth to children. That's in the physical realm. I'm looking up here when they created their own kind after them. That was a different process, wasn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Very much so. A
Bro,
supernatural process.
that's a brilliant thought right there, bro. But if what you're saying, what Carl's saying is this is Adam in God form, and then after his fall is in the flesh, and they don't really tell you that here, in this text. But we're bringing these hidden texts to you to let you know that there's a common thread in all of these stories, and through the different civilizations, they're told by the people of the civilization and with their own twist to it. In other words, so
Yep.
Cora, anything else stand out to you in this?
Oh, well, again, we see the impure spirit takes the soul down to hell, which is below, and that fits in with the 5,500 years, or the 5.5 days of imprisonment to Adam and every one of his descendants that were born in the flesh.
That's right. And you astutely found that, or you said in a past show, you said that the hell that the church scares you, this medieval concept of burning in fire and worms coming out of your eyes, that is literally a fear tactic to control people through religion. And that's what it was used for. But when Jesus died on the cross to come to save Adam and his children, that's exactly was the gist of it. He didn't come to save the world, as Catholic Universalism teaches. The ancient text that were hidden tells you that it was for a specific group of people from the children of Adam, which we know today are the Anglo-Saxon, Scandinavian, Nordic, Basque, Lombard, and Germanic peoples of the earth. So having said that, let's go to the second slide here. Let's comb over this a little bit, minimize the mugs here, and here you go, Carl. I'm gonna start from here. It says, and the children of Adam stayed like this for 5,500 years. So here we have in the same text that literally mirrors the Ethiopic text, which has the common thread going all the way back to Atlantis. So in other words, all these texts and all these different stories of these different gods, the actual source of these books were the ancient writings that were taken from Atlantis when Atlantis fell. And as we said in the past, and when Atlantis fell, they went into Egypt, and then so on and so forth into the other countries, Israel, Persia, and all these other places, some parts of Asia, and they all tell very, very similar stories if you know what to look for. So having said that, let me finish. Adam stayed like this. So in other words, he was in this fallen state for 5,500 years until Jesus Christ, God, the creator of all, Emmanuel, God with us, manifest in the flesh, as he told him in the Ethiopic text in the books of Adam and Eve, that in 5.5 days I will come and the Jews are going to kill me. He said that he was born from the pure Virgin Mary without human relation. When Jesus was born, none of the impure spirits could attach to Jesus because he was God in the flesh. And they're telling you here, the newly born sons and the daughters of Adam. So whenever in the flesh, after they fell, when Adam was dethroned, Okay, all of his children in God form were taken back up into heaven, and then they were put in a chronological order to be born in the flesh upon the earth. This is what we've read in the past in other texts, and here's another text that's confirming our findings. Carl, any thoughts?
Yeah, and I'm going to throw something out there. Like the Virgin Mary impregnated without human relation, but she was impregnated. The DNA was deposited in the egg and fertilized that egg. Like I'd say artificial insemination. I mean, we've got
Divinely.
examples of this, with the alien abductions and all that kind of stuff. This was an actual DNA or sperm, holy sperm injected into the egg to fertilize it.
And all sperm is just a genetic carrier
Yes, sir.
of whatever being or human that's going to be born upon the earth. But what I find also interesting about these texts and this Katib al Ida, if you read this, this is showing that our Father is very cunning as well. He's very smart. To me, this is like the ultimate heavenly chess game, and how Jesus outflanks this demon every single time. And we're going to give you more examples of that. But Carl, if you would, bro, start right here from where he says he knew and
He,
please read that again.
he knew that the newborn was the one whose name the angels announced. He hurried to the cave. God, who came to set the secret for our salvation, intended to hide himself from him in order that he not know that he is God. You may continue?
Yeah, please.
He indicated to all the angels to leave heaven. He moved the heart of his mother to wrap him in rags and put him in a manger. When the impure reached the cave, in other words, Satan,
That's right.
he did not see any of the angels whom his soldier saw. Satan saw the Lord in his poor state. So he immediately doubted that, hey, this is nothing. This is no big deal here. He thought that he is not God, but a weak man. He left him. Satan then moved King Herod to kill him in order to be relieved of his fear. So just to make sure he got it right, and he got covered all of his bases, he moved King Herod to kill every child in that area, every male child 2 years and under, based on when the Magi, the what we call the wise men, visited with Herod and told him about the prophecy.
Well, we know Herod was an Edomite and he was
Yes,
following the orders of his father, just like
yes, sir.
Jesus told him in John 8:44 and 8:47. He told him, "You're of your father, the devil." That's their father. So, but if you notice right here, he says right here, he referring to Satan, he thought that he is not God. So obviously he's aware of the prophecy that was told to Adam
Yes,
that
sir.
God would return. Jesus Christ was crucified on the cross for his son, the sons and daughters of Adam. And he said right here, he thought he is not God. Notice it doesn't say the Son of God. So we don't have Catholic inspiration there of confusion of the Son of God. Like people can't get past the Son of God thing. They literally think that he's the Son of God. Well, how in John 3:16 it says, and God gave his only begotten son. Only means one, begotten. Well, who was begotten of God? Adam was begotten of God. He was the only one begotten, made in the right hand of the Father, and had his Father's very DNA light essence injected into him. And he said, "Live, Adam, live, live," 3 times, and Adam arose. But Satan is well aware that God is going to come to the earth to try to free Adam from his charge, as this text as Carl just read to you. Carl, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm looking at this God versus the Son of God, and there's a lot of debate over that, and it's based on modern writings. And my understanding, I'm well read. I read it, and you could read it in the modern writings. You can read it either way. You go back to these texts, and it's pretty clear. There's no ambiguity whatsoever about who is God versus the Son of God.
Well, I'm not saying this arrogantly, but you have to be more sophisticated because you're dealing with the father of lies. You're dealing with someone that's more cunning. That means he's smarter than us. The average human being, we don't think in cunning terms like how can I screw this person over to gain some type of leverage or money or some kind of treasure. And this demon never stops. He's relentless. And he said that in the text, I will never stop to destroy you and your children, speaking to Adam, until the end of time, because it was you that made me fall. He didn't blame himself, he blamed Adam. But it's go ahead, Carl. Go ahead.
See, he's blaming Adam for something that God clearly said he deceived himself and then he deceived Adam. So, here he is, he's pointing the finger at somebody else. We know folks that do that a lot. We've all fallen into that, I guess.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. No doubt. So having said that, let's move on to the next slide here. Carl, this is going to be a long one, bro. You up for it?
Yep, I'm drinking my soda water to keep my tongue wet here, buddy.
You're on a roll, bro. Let me minimize the mugs. Go ahead.
Adam's ignorance of his divinity. Adam's ignorance of his divinity, and Adam said to Seth, I did not understand my priority when I did not exist. And when I did exist, in what sort of honor I was, nor my authority over the entire world, nor my love among the holy watchers, nor my entire life inside paradise, nor, more than everything, the mercy and kindness of my holy Father, who loved me and was merciful to me, my loving Father. And when I transgressed against his commandments in my boldness, he did not judge me as a Lord who holds a grudge, but as a kind Father whose mercy is mixed with discipline. For if he had judged me according to my foolishness, he would have destroyed me as vanity and made me as if I never existed. And who would stand up against him and say, what are you doing? But he disciplined me with mercy and did not judge me according to my foolishness, since, behold, my son, I saw the entire creation, which is under my authority as before. And my deceiver, the evil one, wanted to humiliate me with his fraud, and he liberated from under my authority. On the contrary, my kind, loving Father, in his mercy, put him under my feet, and I would trample him, having put fear upon me so that I would not obey his advice again. And like a judge, his justice, he shut his lying mouth and filled it with dust. And he tore off his feet so that he could not walk upon them. And he separated him from every animal created like him. And all these things happened to me, my son, and I was brought low from my majesty. The cause of all these evil things, Eve, your mother, was a stumbling block for me. But you, my son, guard yourself from her advice and do not obey her as I did. But love and honor the Lord of light, my Father, and he will save you and have mercy upon you.
Wow.
Whoa.
Bro, and I apologize to the viewer. I did not put the source here, but this is from another hidden text that was sitting in the Vatican Library Archive. It's known as the Revelation of the Magi, or also known as the Revelation of Seth. And if you notice, these ancient texts, here he calls himself again right here, Carl, at the bottom, the Lord of Light. Who's the Lord of Light, bro? Jesus Christ. I am the light of the world. So and this is actually Adam talking to his son Seth. And let me ask you, when you read this, Carl, what are the first thoughts that come to your mind in this incredible text here?
Oh my goodness, that Adam had it all in his hand and blew it, but he didn't recognize that he had it all in his hands. He did not recognize that he was God's choice, not creation. He was God. He was actually God's son and in charge of all of this, and he failed at his duty. He didn't come up to the job description.
Like they tell you in the Marvel movies, like Thor says, he was the god of the 9 known realms, the 9 different universes. And I'm going to touch on this right here. It says, this is Adam telling Seth, I did not understand my priority when I did not exist, and when I did exist, and what sort of honor I was, nor, this is key right here, nor my authority over the entire world. Carl and I have said in the past that the Bible tells you that God put Adam, or the man trick, put him there, and he was to till the ground. And Adam, from this much older writing than any of the books in the Bible, is telling you he had authority over the entire world. Carl, what do you think about this sentence right here, bro?
Yes, sir. It flies in the face of there was no man to till the soil. So Adam gets sent down here with his work clothes on, his clodhoppers and a hoe and a rake, and sent to work gardening. No, 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 no.
Exactly, exactly. And well, I'm gonna just comb over this. Let me I keep fidgeting here with this camera, bro. I apologize to the viewer. Let me go over this a little bit more. And notice right here, he says that his father had kindness. He didn't, it's not like, in the book of Numbers or Genesis where you have this Yahweh God of the Old Testament, talking about strangling women and taking young virgins, this Talmudic God that was cut and pasted into the Old Testament. But he says right here, he had a father who loved me and was merciful to him. And he's telling you, he said, but my kind father whose mercy is mixed with discipline. So he was definitely sent to, I would say, a heavenly timeout for 5,500 years. Car, what are your thoughts on that, on this
Yeah,
little passage
sit in
right
the
here?
corner and think about where you screwed up.
This is
Oh my
incredible.
goodness, dude. But now think about it. This same father he's talking about. That's our father, dude.
Exactly.
I mean, oh
Exactly.
yes, sir.
Well, and let me find where's the, I'm trying to find the part where he tells you, he says that the earth was his kingdom, and I transgressed commandments in his boldness. He did not judge me, destroyed me, and disciplined mercy according to my foolishness. I saw um and liberate. Okay, now I'm jumping on a little bit, but this right here stands out to me as well. He says, and my deceiver, Satan, the evil one, wanted to humiliate me with his fraud and this is key right here, and be liberated from under my authority. Wow, Carl, does the Bible tell you anywhere in the Judeo church that Satan was under the authority of Adam? Bro, this is bombshell right here. Oh my goodness. He said he didn't want to be under his authority. Goodness, girl. Any thoughts on that, bro?
Yeah, the King James version we were created a little lower. I brought this up in several shows before, and even on some other channel. We were created a little lower than the angels. That was on purpose. I've always said before that he just didn't have the guts to say it, but that was on purpose that they mistranslated that we were begotten at a higher level than the angels, and that's what I'm trying to curb my language. That's what ticked off the angels, that we were the last to the table, or Adam was the last to the table, but the first in his father's eyes.
That's right. Begotten of the Father, like you said, begotten of the Father. And I find this amazing again that he's literally telling you that Satan did not want to be under his authority. So he came up with a plan to make Adam fall in the same sin, fall. And then once he fell, he said that Eve was the stumbling block. This is incredible right here. He said that Eve, he's talking to Seth, Eve, your mother, was a stumbling block for me. And he's telling his son, like, don't listen to her and follow what Jesus the Father tells you, the Lord of light,
Yes,
my
sir.
Father, and he will save you and have mercy upon you. Any final thoughts, Carl, before we move on to the next one?
No, because what I'm going to say is going to tick some people off. But
Okay. All right, bro. So, bro,
yes,
you want to go ahead and take this one?
yes, sir. Adam acknowledges his kingdom, and Atlantis equals Adam's land. Huh? You won't hear that, church. You'll
Exactly.
hear that Atlantis was that was just part of mythology. It never existed. And Adam said to Seth, my son, there will be generations and ages from me and from my offspring, and they will be recounting my foolishness in speaking figuratively with figures of speech to one another. They are fulfilled about me, and they will say, every kingdom that will be divided against itself shall not stand. This is fulfilled about me, because I doubted about my kingdom in which I stood,
Bingo.
and I by my hands destroyed it myself. My son, the rib that was removed from me became a thorn, and it blinded my eye. I even prophesied when I saw her, and I said, this time is bone and flesh from me. And rightly did I call her time, because she became a stumbling block for me. My son, guard from her the words of your mouth, and do not reveal to her all the mysteries of your heart. For my compassionate father made her a helper for me, for honor and glory, because he loved me, for I am his beloved son. And I made her an injury for me and a destroyer of my footprints, so that she cast me out of paradise, my kingdom. And I did not understand my honor, but I was puffed up in my heart by the advice of treachery that she gave me, a cup of sound filled with poison by the lie of the serpent.
Wow.
Dude, dude.
I never heard that in Sunday school, bro.
No, sir.
Goodness gracious. Well, I confused the two slides here. I'm a little punchy, bro, staying up till 4 and 5 every night. There he says, Adam is saying, he says, I doubted about my kingdom in which I stood. So in other words, he's not saying that my earth that I tilled the ground or this little garden that I was in. He's telling you that he had a kingdom. And this kingdom was a vast kingdom, an interdimensional kingdom. As I said earlier, Thor tells you the 9 realms, the 9 different universes. Some say 10, some say 12, some say 7. He says, but he had my kingdom in which I stood. And he tells you, and by my hands destroyed it myself, my sons. And he's telling you that Eve was his stumbling block. So, Carl, does this differ in any of your teachings as a young man when you were going through the church?
Differs in every way from what I learned in church.
Isn't it, bro? It's a lot more in depth. And it gives a lot more importance. Like we said, the central character of your Bible outside of our Father Jesus is Adam himself.
Yes, sir.
Just like Genesis 5:1 tells you, like Carl quoted earlier, this is the book of the generations, the genetics of Adam. Okay, now have we had demons that have come in and altered the text throughout the different translations, and have the meanings been lost in translations? Of course. And that's what Carl and I are doing with these other texts. We're trying to get a deeper understanding of the biblical text and the actual fraud that's been sown into this. What is that called in the Bible, Carl? The leaven?
Oh, the leaven of the Pharisees. In other words, you put a little piece of sourdough in a whole batch of
Lump.
dough, and it's going to make the whole dough rise. It'll make the whole dough rise. In other words, it'll
ruin the lump of the bread or the dough.
Yeah, and actually, it's a good thing when you put sour. I mean, but it will. The little piece of dough will affect the entire bowl full of dough.
Well, I think what he's referring to is like what Jesus said in the other hidden text. He said the keys of wisdom and knowledge have been hidden from you. And
Yes,
those who have hidden the keys do not want you to ascend. And that's why they've done that. So having said that, Carl, any last thoughts on this?
no, sir, buddy. Let's roll.
Okay, let's go to the next one here. All right, this is a slide I put together, and I'm going to show you how the enemy hides Adam from you throughout history. And this is called Adam's fingerprints all over the world. And if you look at the simple name Malta, you got Sicily, Italy, Malta here. You know, one say, oh, that's just a little island, you know, just south of Sicily, you know, blah blah blah. But hidden right in front of you in plain sight are the fingerprints of Adam. What do I mean by that? Let's go to the next slide. If you look at this word Malta and you break it down, just like I said, the Paleo Hebrew in the past was written from right to left, and then Paleo. I'm not an expert on it, but I've done a little study. It's interesting to me, and the Paleo Hebrew or Hebrew to this day is still, if I'm not mistaken, Carl, it's read from right to left. Am I correct on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you take this word Malta, you subtract the L, Malta equals mata. You reverse it, it equals atam. The root word is at, just like Manly P. Hall said. The root word of Adam or Atlas, Atlantis, is Adam. So atum, Ra, atum equals Adam, Ra equals the son, or the son as begotten son. And Adam was the son of God, Luke 3:38. Carl, any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, pretty clear that stuff has been hidden from us in plain sight, obviously. And we got Malta. What, look at Malta? What is it, an island, a remnant of what sunk from Atlantis? The actual main island of Atlantis was sunk, but there's still remnants of that all over, all across the plane or around the globe. Again, whatever you believe, round or flat, I don't care.
Or projection.
Yes, sir. So there's still remnants of that, but again, Malta. Why? And again, it's tied right to a piece of the original Atlantis. I believe that.
Well, I mean, it's to me, it's I guess you would call this an anagram with a subtraction of a letter, but this is how the enemy works. And I think you know, through civilizations as they rise and fall, and you have different languages, you know, you will have reversing. You know, I'm not a linguist, but I mean, I see it. It's plain. It's right in your face. And these, you know, through the generations, the pronunciation of these words have been changed through the different languages. Just like, you know, my first name is in English is I go by Joey. Now, how do you say that in Spanish, Carl?
Oh, I would just call you Jose.
Jose. You kidding me? Come on, man. Anyway, anyway, so we're done with this slide. Little humor there. So we're gonna go to the next one, bro. We did a little Tony Montana there on you, bro.
Yeah, man.
So here's another little hidden gem right here, Mesopotamia. Okay, Carl, what would you like to add before I jump into it, and anything that you would like
First
to?
of all, the cradle of mankind, Adam kind, Mesopotamia, not sub-Saharan Africa, where tailless apes evolved and migrated and mysteriously turned into Eskimos and Nordics and all of this stuff. So this is where I believe, just me, where the Garden of Eden was, where this infused, where Adam was injected into this entire earth to bring it up to a standard, again, to till the soil, so to speak, but not to till the soil. He was placed in the garden of families to elevate their DNA and their consciousness and their abilities on the planet as God's administrator, his son, his heir that he gave this inheritance to.
Bro, beautifully put. I could, bro, that was bombshell. That's 100% right, and to bring them up into a higher order of civilization from hunter gatherers, as you've astutely said in the past. So
Yes.
so in the very name Mesopotamia, we're going to break this word down and see if we have any hidden gems. Oh, look at that, Carl. We do. So let's go to Mesopotamia and break this word down. So if you cut this word in half, Mesopo, is that how you would say it, Carl? How would you pronounce that? Mesopo?
Mesopo. If I was going to pronounce it, I would say Mesopo.
Mesopo. Sí, claro que sí. Okay, so the second the second word would be Tamia. So this is a little bit more of a word scramble here, but if you can see the first two letters TA, they're right in front of you. Here's the root word of Adam again. These two letters, at. So if you take these two letters and you reverse them, TA equals AT. Okay, then you break the word in the middle and you subtract the I and reverse the A and the M. The am, you have Atam, Adam, Atum, Anum, Amun Ra, Anu, the god of the Anunnaki, hidden in plain sight, right in your face, in words. Carl, any thoughts on that?
No, I'm just saying. And then, again, we got this word scramble going on. But what was the place originally called? Was it Sumeria? Sumer?
Sumer.
Yeah.
That's where Abraham was told to get out. Why? Because the satanic hordes of the children of Cain were flowing in. The
Yes,
gates
sir.
were open.
And we're running out of places to go while the satanic hordes of Cain are flooding the earth again.
Exactly. So it's like a chess piece.
Yes,
So
sir.
let's go to the next slide here. All right, Carl, I'm gonna task you again, bro. I know I'm pushing
Oh,
you a little
this
bit.
is my favorite. This, as a treasure hunter in the past, I have been in the area where we found Scythian, Gothic, Visigoth, Vandal, Allen, Celtic, all of these things, even Etruscan. I mean, I have found so many of these ancient relics and coins. This is right down my alley. So the Scythians were a nomadic people whose culture flourished between the 7th and 3rd century BCE in a territory range from Thrace in the west across the steppe of Central Asia to the Altai Mountains of Mongolia in the east. This covers an area around 4,000 kilometers in length. The geography of the open plains, steppe, desert steppe, and forest steppe expanses over which they range was conducive to a pastoral rather than a settled way of life involving agricultural production. As a result, these steppe nomads had few urban centers and had a nomadic lifestyle, riding horses, tending herds, and living in covered wagons. Yes, sir. Our people, Scythians, had a common cultural identity expressed in their warrior nomadism, their form of government, and unique art and dress. While there's much debate about the origins of the Scythian populations, Herodotus claims, and most modern scholars agree, they moved west from Asia into Europe by way of the Great Steppe Corridor. And that's by U. Alexievich, from a book called The Scythians, or a publication called The Scythians. Yet in the 1st century BCE, the Greek historian, I hope I'm not butchering this, Diodorus Siculus,
the Guinea Wop.
The Guinea Wop states the Scythians at first moved north from the Araxes River of Armenia. Ooh, okay. Another modern view is they moved south in several ways from the Volga Ural steppes into the North Black Sea. And in 5th century BCE, Herodotus also shows the Sarmatians splitting from the Black Sea, Scythians moving east. Then recent archaeological discoveries at Tuva in the Altai Mountains, which date Scythian settlements to the late 9th century BCE, suggest early origins in the east. However, as 1st century CE Chinese chroniclers speak of their red hair and blue eyes, their Caucasian features and Indo-European language support Bronze Age origins in the West, likely from the Celts.
Wow. That is very interesting. First thoughts on that, my brother?
Well, we've got Armenia, and we know that according to the history we studied, our people, the 10 northern tribes, they're not lost by any stretch of the imagination, passed through the Darial Pass or the Darial Gap or Gorge into Western Europe. That's my understanding. And to this day, in the Armenian tongue, that is known as the Path of Israel. That translates directly to the Path of Israel, is what they call it.
You're talking about the 10 tribes?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Spot on.
As they pass through the Caucasus Mountains, why we're called Caucasian.
Arsareth, southern Russia, that region in there.
Yes, sir.
Well, you know what stands out to me is I'm going to go back to these hidden little nuggets, and hidden right in front of you, where it says that they had remains of them in the Altai Mountains.
Yes, sir.
So here we have the same root where, again, it's just a scramble, a word scramble, or letter scramble. Can't talk tonight, but we have the ATL, Atlas, Atlan. So we have the Atlantic Ocean, the ocean of Adam, and here we have the same mountains named after Adam. Carl, any thoughts on that?
Yes, sir. And that brings to mind the Atlas Mountain Range as well. Now, see, once you've turned me on to this, now you've got me looking at this stuff. I guess once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yes, sir. It's bro, it's hidden in plain sight.
Yes, sir.
It's all over the planet. So let's go to the next slide, unless you have anything else to add.
No.
All right, my brother. Okay. Oh, here we go. Let me minimize the mugs, get us out of here again.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay, who were the Scythians? Well, there's something hidden in the name Scythian. If you see it, who were these? We know that these are Caucasian men. These are white men. Okay. And hidden in the name, if you break the word down and you subtract the CY and you add an E, it equals Sethians. These are the Sethians, the sons of Adam, the sons and daughters of Adam. And after the fall of Atlantis and their migration all over the world, as in our Father's plan, to like we said in the Superman movie clips, he said, we wanted you to learn what it was like to be human first. Hollywood tells you point blank what's going on. If you have eyes to see and ears to hear, and they told their son, call El, one of the L's, which Seth was an L. And these L's, these sons of Adam, migrated all over the planet,
That's our people in China,
all
in
over the earth.
Mongolia, mixed in and traveling through and absolutely conquering and making a statement everywhere they went, by the way.
Well, like we've said in the past, if you understand what this worldwide caste system was when Adam was in God form, we're talking the god Zeus, Adam, his sons, these were a council magically of 12 gods that ruled, they say, from Olympus, but all over the earth, each one of these sons had a region that they were assigned to that they ruled over, and they had a population of lesser men. And we're not saying that in a derogatory term towards anyone. It's just what the texts say, that they ruled over these men. And upon their fall, God put them, he said, I wanted you, like in the Superman movie, I wanted you to learn what it was like to be human first. Well, these are the same gods, the offspring of these gods at the fall of Atlantis that were taken up. And there were a group of these individuals, Adam's son, when he was thrown into a flesh body, and these strands of DNA were taken from him, and he was lowered down to a 2-strand DNA human being. And God, as part of his punishment, he was placed into a cave. And here are the descendants. The Scythians equals the Sethians, right in your face. Carl, any last thoughts before we move on?
No, brother, that again, the son that was born in the image of Adam, which goes back to one of those sons that he had before wasn't born in his image.
No doubt, bro. It's incredible the way this stuff is hidden from
Yes,
us.
sir.
So,
It's unfolding and it's confirming other things that we've talked about.
so let's go to the next one. Wow, hold on. This is taboo right here, right? Because if you say this word, this means you're a Nazi, right?
Yes, sir.
So just a little humor there, but there are a group of people on the earth called the Aryans. Where did this name originate from? Aryan. We're going to break that down. We've done this in a past show, and I just added a couple things to it. So who was Ares? Ares was the ancient Greek god of war, or more properly, the spirit of battle. Ares was the son of Zeus, the god of war Ares. Ares equals Aryan. Okay, you subtract the A and Y, and you add an I to it, and that's the land of Iran, Iranian, Aryan. Those are the ancient Persians. And I'm not talking about the Muslim invasion over there. I'm talking about the ancient Caucasian Aryans, the white Aryans that wrote all the Vedic text in these hidden texts that originated from Atlantis, these texts. So moving on from that, it says, who was Set? We're getting into Egyptian mythology. Set was known as Seth, or Sukteth, the Egyptian god of war. And as we said, Luke 3:38, and Seth and Adam was the son of God. So just kind of skimming through that real quick. All right, Corey, you want to take this one?
All right. The Aryans are from Atlantis. American Congressman Ignatius Donnelly, 1831 to 1901, wrote in his book, Atlantis, the Antediluvian World. Did the Aryan race come from Atlantis? Question mark. The center of the Aryan migration was Armenia. There's Armenia again. Here too is Mount Ararat, where it is said the ark rested, identified with the flood regions, representing the unusual transfer of the Atlantis legend by the Atlantean people to a high mountain in their new home. The Greeks, who are Aryans, trace their descent from the people who were destroyed by the flood, as did other races clearly Aryan.
Wow. Well, before we jump into that, just I remembered who the mummies were. I looked them up real quick. The Tarian Basin mummies, the blonde and redhead mummies found in modern day China, are known as the Tarian mummies. They are a group of mummies discovered in the Tarian Basin in present day China. So just a little side note there. So Carl, jumping back on this, what do you think of Mr. Donnelly's writings here? What he says sounds to me like he had some, I guess, some mystery school teachings.
Yes, Mr. Donnelly did not get this from Sunday school. I can
No,
tell
no,
you that.
no doubt about it. But he tells you right here, he throws in the little Mount Ararat thing there from Noah's Ark and the flood. But he's definitely made the connection that the Atlantean people to a high mountain to their new home, the Greeks who were a part of them, as Plato definitely said. And wait a minute, don't Greeks have dark hair?
A lot of them do now.
Oh my God. So okay, but they were they were actually, according to Plato's writings, they were the offspring, the literal offspring of Atlantis, of the children of Atlantis or Adam. So these were Adamites on the earth, children of light. These were the real sons of light, not
Yes.
not the fake place in the Middle East. So having said that, Carl, any last thoughts?
No.
Okay, bro, let's
Good,
go to the
buddy.
next one.
The fake place in the Middle East. That is a hook in a stumbling block to a lot of so-called Christians.
Oh, and if you say that, they label you with hate. It's
Yes,
always
sir.
the same MO. So I'll go ahead and take this one, Carl. I'll give you a break,
Oh,
man.
okay.
The worship of the son of God, Adam. Anu is Zeus, Babylonian Sumerian's counterpart, as supreme God and an impartial ruler. Enlil is Zeus's Babylonian counterpart as a punitive storm god. Zeus, element equivalent, and this, people can read this. These are his equivalents. Ahura Mazda, and we're going to jump into some of these guys later on in the show. So, Carl, what do you think of that? We have a literal equivalent of Zeus being this Anu god, this the father of the Anunnaki. Now, Zeus was the father of the Olympian gods and the most powerful one of all. And here they're saying that this is his equivalent, Mr. Anu from the Anunnaki. What are your thoughts on that?
Again, different cultures, different names, different, same story told a little differently with different names. Just like, and a good example, you go to any country on the planet and ask them what this is. It's the same thing, no matter what who's holding it, but it's always called something different. Just like these gods are called something different.
And if you notice here, here's the root word again, and it's not just at, it's anum, atum ra, anum ra, but anum. Right here we have the same two letters again, anu, anum, Zeus. These are the same exact deities, and they're all based on the ancient Atlantean story of Adam. So having said that, let's move on to the next. Got a lot of material to cover here, so I'm going to minimize this again. Carl, you want to take this?
Let me jump on it. Indra, reverse the I and the N, read it backwards. Okay. Nida, and then equals Adin, Adam, father of the gods. Indra, Sanskrit, is the king of the devas or deities, and Svarga, heaven in Hinduism. He is associated with the sky, lightning, weather, thunder, storms, rains, river flows, and war. Indra's powers are similar to other Indo-European deities such as Jupiter, Perun, Peruknus, Zalmoxis, Tyrannus, Zeus, and Thor, part of the greater Proto-Indo-European mythology. Zeus, the king of the Greek gods, can fairly be compared to Indra, the Rig Vedic king of Hindu gods. Both these deities had control over weather and had thunderbolts as their weapons. Both had kingly chariots.
Wow. Bro, hit me. What are your thoughts on that?
Arose by any other name, dude.
Well, another identifying factor here is you when you look at these gods, they had these hot like I said in the third part of the Saturn series that we did, they have these weapons, these high tech, heavenly technologically advanced weapons. And Zeus had the power of throwing lightning bolts at you or in thunder. He had an axe, he had a staff. They don't tell you that, but he had a double-sided axe. He sometimes yielded a hammer, which I found kind of shocking when I found that out, and that was passed down to his son. But here, this god Indra, right here, like I said, if you reverse, you subtract the R, reverse the I, and the N, you read it backwards, and let me minimize this again. It's Nida or Nida, and then that equals Adin, Adam, the father of the gods. So that's not by coincidence. It's literally, like Carl said earlier, it's a different telling from different languages of rising and falling civilizations. Carl, any last thoughts before we go on to our next slide?
Yeah, we're talking about these weapons and everything. Even in the Vedic text, they talk about flying vehicles. And I thought that was crazy. I studied that probably when I was 12 years old. And air-to-air missiles, air-to-ground missiles, nuclear weapon technology. I mean, and you can see the ruins of civilizations that are dug up every day around the world that do not fit in any of the historical teachings that we have.
And that's powerful, bro, no doubt.
Yes, sir.
And if you notice the very first slide that we showed when we started the series of that gory battle, or maybe the second slide, when the sons of Adam or Zeus are fighting the sons of Cain, the Titans, the first thing he threw at him was a hammer. So that you know, I thought that was Thor's hammer, but here Zeus is slinging a hammer. And you go into these other texts and these descriptions and the weapons that these gods that they used, and it's basically the same weapons. So that's another identifying factor in connecting these two. It's the same common thread that runs through all these different civilizations and their pantheon of gods. So having said that, let's go to the next one. All right. Carl, you want to take this because you're on a roll tonight, bro. Your L is gleaming, bro.
Okay. Indra equals Adin equals Adam equals Zeus. The Vajra, Indra's weapon, which he used to kill the evil Vritra, is the Vajra or thunderbolt. There's that air to ground weapon there. Indra is the god of rain and storms, a direct energy weapon. I should have said, is the god of rain and storms in Hinduism, the long-lasting religion of India. In the ancient period, Lord Indra was worshipped as the bravest of the gods and the bringer of rains. Wielding a thunderbolt, Indra was known for battling against monsters. Dragon Vritra, defeat by Indra. Enemies, most famously the dragon Vritra, a leader of the Dasas and a demon of drought. Vritra is accused as a dragon of hoarding the waters and the rains, as a Dasa of stealing cows, and as an anti-god of hiding the sun.
So here we have, if you look at the pictures, here we have two pictures or illustrations of Zeus and Indra, and obviously according to the Indians, they're going to make the god that ruled over them in their image, obviously. And notice he's on a white. This is an elephant, but this connects with actual bull worship through all the different civilizations. But notice he's fighting this serpent right here. You know, so Carl, what are your thoughts on this when you read through these
okay, we've got this serpent. That's the bad guy. We've got the serpent in our religion. The Vikings, what is it? Ragnarok, the serpent is going to come at the end, and they got to do battle with him out of Valhalla. So that common thread throughout different cultures and different religions, but it all kind of goes back to, like we said, Adam and his sons being the gods on the earth.
And they fighting
that enemy, the dragon.
Exactly. From that very first, that battle. And what triggered that battle is when God put Adam over all the angels, and there was a group of them that weren't having it, and they got their asses handed to him, and that's the way it went anyway. So he used cunning, and here we are today. So
yes, sir.
Let's go to the next slide here. Let me reduce this. So I'll take this, Carl. Ahura Mazda, aka Adam, worshipped by Persian King Darius, 6th century BC, Greek name Zoroaster. Ahura Mazda was worshipped by the Persian king Darius the first. He reigned from 522 to 486 BC, and his successors as the greatest of all gods and protecting of the just king. So here we have another civilization, and these would be today is modern day Iran, but the Persians. And if you notice the one common theme, Carl, you have all these different civilizations worshiping this pantheon of gods. In other words, they didn't get the memo that Adam's time was over and that Jesus Christ came to the earth, freed him, that he fell, and the new worship, this new covenant that came about was our Father. So his son couldn't cut the mustard. He failed. Like in that one movie clip we did from, he said, he goes, "You're unworthy." And he cast his ass down to the earth.
Yes.
And here we have all over the earth, we have every civilization on the planet worshiping this group of gods. And to this day, like in India, they still worship this group of gods, not knowing that that group of gods were placed into flesh bodies and put on the earth, and they're known as the Caucasian people today. Carl, any thoughts that you have on that?
And the reason we're not to worship them is because, or other people not, on the earth not to worship them, because they were in a flesh body and imprisoned in Hades under the ground for 5,500 years until Jesus came and turned the key and let them out.
That's right. That's right. There's no that God upon his fall, God told him you're going to live 930 years. After that 930 years, he was placed in Sheol, or the halls of Amenti, and he was put there for 4,570 years. And upon that, Jesus came on the cross, freed him and all his sons, and here we are today. So let's go to the next slide. And I'm going to break this down right here. I'm going to minimize the mugs, Carl. Who is Ahura Mazda? Ahura Mazda. So you break the word down, Ahura, like Lieutenant Uhura, except she's the wrong race there. But Ahura Mazda, break the word down, equals Ahu Ra. So here we have Ra, which equals the sun, which equals the begotten son, and Mazda, you subtract the Z and reverse the word, or read it from a reverse, from right to left, and you have the word Adam, Adam. Here is Adam. Here's a carving, famous carving. I think this is in the Middle East, in Iran and Persia, modern day Iran. This is our father Adam, with the wings, symbol, the outstretched wings of the eagle flying, or as the Egyptians called him. They said that what was that? The pyramid that he flew up and down in, Carl? The Ben stone.
There you go.
The
yeah.
Ben stone. Well, this is a depiction of him flying through the cosmos, from heaven to earth, ruling over all the known 9 realms. So, Carl, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think it's important to note that Adam didn't just exist in the flesh on the earth and screw up. He was able to ascend and descend, to ascend to a higher dimension and come down to this dimension.
And if the viewer watches this and they, man, these guys are talking about the same thing over and over again, because like we said, Carl and I are students. We're not teachers. We're not shamans. We're not, Christian identity masters with all the knowledge of who's whiter than white. We're bringing hidden text of who we are. Okay. And we're not fighting over, Carl's eyes are bluer than mine. Like, who gives a shit? No one cares. Okay. But we all have this same white light energy in us from our Father, which only he can see. That's a higher understanding than rather of the flesh. And what we're doing is we find out more information hidden in these texts. We're bringing it to the viewer and giving you something to think about, and trying to expand your knowledge, because you have nothing but gatekeepers on the internet that will tell you about all these different gods, and they try to separate them, and they hide their identity, and they never come out and tell you who these gods are. And I'm not saying this arrogantly, but to the best of my knowledge, Carl and I are like one of the only ones that I've seen on YouTube, and I'm on that thing a lot. And I've never heard anyone say what we're saying. And like I said, I'm not saying that in arrogance, but we're trying to raise the overall, understanding of who we are and where we came from. And we're not fighting over petty, stupid shit about what color your hair is. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So having said that, Carl, I didn't mean to go off on that rant, but go ahead.
No, that's good. Yeah, because it just have to establish what we're about. Like you say, students, never the master, always a student, and we're always learning. And
Right.
as somebody that's not at my level, I don't look down on. And somebody that's higher than my level, I want to know what they know.
Exactly. It's like a collective consciousness, like trying to raise our people to a higher level and stop the petty fighting, because that shit is over. The gates are wide open. The enemy is coming in, and they're not coming here to love on us. So I'm not going to get into too much politics, but that's just my worldview. So having said
Yes.
that, Carl, let's go to the next slide here. All right, I'm going to minimize this. Carl, you want to go ahead and take this?
Yes, sir. Mithras, born from rock, question mark. Mithras is depicted as being born from a rock. He is shown as emerging from a rock, already in his youth, with a dagger in one hand, a torch in the other. He is nude, standing with his legs together and wearing a
Phrygian cap.
Phrygian cap. Mithras is depicted as emerging from a rock and never as an infant, nor in any way associated with a virgin birth or a visitation by any magi.
So here again, I am not an expert on Mithras. There are other guys out there that know way more about this than I do. But I just look for common threads, and Mithras is also in that I would say Trinity in the pantheon of the Zoroastrianism, and some will say no, he's not. He has nothing to do with it. But if you notice right here, and this is why I say, let me minimize this here. Mithras is depicted as being born from a rock. Carl, have you ever seen a human being be born from a rock?
Not in this lifetime. I
No,
haven't.
it's ridiculous. It's a mistranslation or a misunderstanding of the Atlantean story of God as a punishment to his son Adam, placing him in a rock.
In the
Maybe the
cave.
people that seen him come out of the cave realize, like, who are these people living in the caves? Like our enemy says, y'all be living in them caves, you crackers is in them caves. And they always say that. And I think to the hunter-gatherers that were on the earth, when they seen Whitey pop out of a cave, they didn't understand what was going on. And they say he was born from a rock, but they didn't understand that this was a transition from a higher being, a God, the Son of God, being cast out, found unworthy, and placed on the earth and thrown into a cave. That was his living place, him and his children. And here we have this Mithras. And Carl, what does this look like in his hand, his right hand he's holding up here?
Just from what I can see, he's look maybe like a battle axe or something. I don't know.
It looks like Thor's hammer.
A
Uh,
hammer. Okay.
a hammer, and then in his left hand, he has a sword on his hip.
Gotcha.
So here we have this Mithras character yielding the same weapons or wielding the same weapons as Thor.
Yes.
How is that even possible? Because the white race, the Aryans, the Sethians, the Scythians, when they migrated and went across the earth, they had different variations of the same story from Atlantis, and the actual meaning of these stories was lost in translation through the different risings and fallings of our civilizations on the earth. And here we have this Mithras character wearing this same cap, the Phrygian cap that the Israelite children wore, or the people of Israel, the God's sons of light, not the little shithole in the Middle East, but the literal people, God's sons of light, the Sethians, the Scythians that came from Adam. And here he is yielding these same weapons. Carl, what say you, man?
Well, I mean, like I say, born from but think about it, that's how a primitive mind would see this. You got a guy popping out of a rock. He's obviously wearing a different uniform than you are. He's pale. And that was probably their understanding of what they were seeing. Again, that was their translation of their understanding of what had actually happened.
Yeah, there's no
Because he
doubt,
was
bro.
full grown, standing up, and just pops out of a hole in the ground. And I would bet you that there was not a whole lot of cavemen. I bet you these hunter gatherers would not go into a dark cave. They probably didn't even have fire at that point in time.
Swift said that in the caves of Kilimanjaro, he said that they would bury some of their descendants when they passed away in these caves, but that was in Africa. But I mean all over the earth, the story of these people coming out of a cave and living in the cave, that's always attributed to the white race. That's us.
Yes, sir.
And here we have just different derivations or different flavors of the same God over and over again. Now, some say, you could say he's Seth or he's Adam, but irregardless, it's the same God being told over and over and over. So having said that, let's move on to the next one. All right, so I'm going to minimize this again. So go ahead, Corey. If you take this, that'd be great.
Okay, the 12 gods of Medo-Persian. 12 of these emanations, the most prominent of the old gods, were retained by the new religion. Ahura Mazda became the supreme god of Zoroastrianism, and Angra Mainyu, his opponent,
Satan.
okay, Anahita and Mithra would continue as powerful representations of Ahura Mazda's creative and protective aspects, and Atar as a symbol of the god himself, while Zorvan, once a minor god of time, would become the supreme god of Zorvanism under the Sasanian Empire from what, 224 to 651.
Now, if you notice magically this number again, here we have the 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 gates of heaven, the 12 pyramids of creation landing on the earth, the 12 sons of God, over and over and over, the 12 Olympian gods, over and over. And this is a depiction of Adam in the middle, Zeus right here, Ahura Mazda. And I believe that this Mithra is possibly another derivation of Seth. And I can't prove that, but by by the weaponry he holds, by the weapons that he yields, it would seem that way to me. So, Carl, what do you make of this illustration here, bro?
Oh, and when we're on the number 12, the 12 patriarchs, the 12 disciples, that number 12 goes across ages of time and cultures.
No doubt, bro. There's no doubt about that. Hold on. So having said that, let's go to the next slide. All right, I put this in a past show. Carl, I'll take this one, man. Maya, who is the Maya god? The god Maya equals I am equals Adam, the son of God. So Itzamna, Maya creator god, Itzamna was among the oldest and most important gods in the Mayan religion. He was the son of the creator god Hunab Ku, and he was associated with the sun, S-O-N, god Kunich Ahu. Hunab Ku equals the one God. And here we have in this ancient ruins here, the name is Altun. Here we have it again, Carl. Are you seeing this, bro? A-L-T, Atlantis, or A-T-L, the root words, Altun. This is another pronunciation of Adam. Adam Ha Mayan ruins in Belize. What are your thoughts of this, Carl?
Okay, I'm looking at this saying when these things were built, these Mayan ruins and everything at the time, they weren't designed for these guys to have these priests to go up and worship and cut hearts out and chunk them down and cut heads off and all that stuff. That's what they devolved into once Adam and his sons were placed, and they continued to worship these gods who are now probably being supplanted and replaced by the evil one who wanted to be worshipped as the Most High God, who required a blood sacrifice.
Well, that's exactly what happened. When he, like we read earlier, he didn't want to be under his authority, so he tricked Eve. He got to Adam through Eve, mixed that seed, created a group of unassimilatable creatures on the earth, and we've had this war against the sons of Cain and the sons of Adam since that time. I mean, what say you, bro?
Oh, and I'm looking at another thing. Hunab Ku equals the one God. The Mayans had another god they called Kukulkan, which now we want to play on words again. A god, Cain, the god. In other words, Kukulkan seems to me like a derivation or a corruption of Cain.
Son of the serpent, bro. I think you're spot on that. I never looked at that. That's brilliant.
I mean, you got me looking because I've never seen this Hunab Ku, the one god, before. Because the only thing I knew about Mayan culture and Aztec culture was Quetzalcoatl and Kukulkan, the feathered serpent. That's who Kukulkan is.
But here we have a different god.
Yes, sir.
And then this Mayan ruin right here, it's called Adam.
Yes,
that's what Altun means. It's just another way of saying Adam. So having said that, let's move on to the next one, bro.
Wow, dude, this is like a eye opener.
This is incredible. I know I love this stuff, bro. Now you know I'm up till 4 and 5 every night, bro. It's retarded. So go ahead, Carl. You can take this, man.
The god Thor born in a cave. There we go. Norse mythology, either Nordic or Scandinavian, there are kindred people. So Odin created a cave in Norway where Jord gave birth to Thor. Months after the infant Thor was weaned, Odin brought him to Asgard to be raised. Ages ago, Odin sought to have an heir that would have the power of both the heavens and of the earth. So he sought out Jord and convinced her to have a child with him, producing their son Thor. When she was about to give birth, Odin had sprites decorate a cave where she finally had her son. Yes, sir.
Well, here we have another cave scenario.
Yes,
We
sir.
have Thor, which a lot of people, they never tell you that even in mythology, that Thor was born in a cave. So how do you see the reoccurring theme, Carl, over and over and over? And that's why we're telling you that these gods, that no matter what civilization, when they speak about these pagan gods, they they are literally the same deities that we're speaking of, the sons of God, who are Adam and his children. So having said that, let's move on to the next one, unless you have something else to add, Carl.
Nobody, but I'm just this is amazing to me how time and again the same story, different location, different language.
Exactly, bro. So let's move on. All right. So I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to take this one, Carl. It says, dwelling place of Adam, creation of the gods and ancient mythology. Um, I'm using different texts that basically say the same thing, and they're going to give you the birthplace of Adam and these other gods. So it says, Book of Adam and Eve. God made our father. This is Seth speaking. God made our father Adam dwell in the western border of the garden, because on that side of the earth is very broad. And God commanded him to dwell there in a cave, in a rock, in the cave of treasures below the garden. So this is the same Mithra. And if you break the word Mithra down, it basically it's another derivation of Adam, just a scrambled word. So having said that, moving to Zeus here. Zeus, high in the Dictade Mountains, range along the LaSalle Plateau and Crete, in the Psychro Cave, which may have been the place where, according to myth, the great god Zeus was raised. The god Thor, born in a cave in Norse mythology. The Emerald Tablets. Gather thou now the sons of Atlantis. Take them and flee to the people of the rock caves. So here we have, I'm going to pause. So here we have people, as we've said in the past, people in the rock caves, living in caves. And this is God, the dweller. His name is the dweller. If you look at this word, you break this word down. Here we have El, dweller. Okay, who was the head El? Jesus Christ, the Father of light. So it says, take them and flee to the people of the rock caves. Fly to the land of the children of Kim. So it was a rescue mission. Atlantis is going down. He's telling you, go get the sons of Atlantis, take them to the people of the rock caves, fly to Egypt. Then, this is Thoth talking, then gathered I, this is key, the sons of Adam, Atlantis, Adam's land, the sons of Adam, into a spaceship. I brought all my records, brought the records of sunken Atlantis. All the islands were shattered except Unal, and part of the island, here it is again, of the sons of the Dwell, or of the sons of El, right here. So we have these sons of El living in the rock caves. This is from the Emerald Tablets, goes back 36,000 years. Here we have the god Mithras. Mithras is depicted as being born from a rock, a cave. Carl, anything stand out to you on this slide?
Well, I'm looking at this. All the islands were shattered except Unal and part of the island of the sons of the dweller. What we opened up talking about Malta, didn't we?
That's right.
Yes, sir. I'm thinking Malta is one of the remnants, either Unal or one of the island, the remnant or part of the island of the son of the dweller. And I don't know why I was just immediately taken back to that when you read that.
Everything's been hidden from us in plain sight, and you have all these gatekeepers out there that will speak about this, but they'll never tell you exactly who, because the racial implications of this would destroy their fraud. It would destroy their religions, and that would, in their mind, that would be a problem. Carl, what do you say on that?
Well, I think you nailed it on that, brother, because that's what they need, that power structure. That's how they exist. That's how they make a living, by using that power structure and their so-called knowledge of this stuff to to actually rob people of their, I mean, control your emotions, control your actions, and control your finances.
Control everything, exactly. And
Yes, sir.
well, the first thing, anytime a new civilization rises, the first thing that they do, they break out religion, and they have to control your religious beliefs. And how do they do that? They get a hold of these texts and they scramble and they come up with new gods, these new, which are basically the old gods. And then they say this, no, this is the new God and this is the new religion. And in other words, to control the people, you have to control their minds. How do you control their minds? You control their understanding of the creator, and you use the creator as a mechanism of fear against the people to control them. In other words, if you don't do this, you're going to burn in hell, fiery torture, and worms coming out your eyes and your ears and your nose. You're going to die forever and melt and all this garbage, medieval concept of hell. When in reality, if you go into the older text, it tells you that this so-called hell, Sheol, it was never called that. It was called the halls of Amenti. And Jesus even used that in ancient texts, as we're going to get into in part two, where he calls Sheol, he doesn't call it that, he calls it Amenti. So, Carl, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, they use God as a hammer with a nail.
Exactly, bro.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's move on to the next one. All right, well, Carl, that ends it for part one, and we're gonna call it here, bro, to give us a break because this has been a tough week for both of us. Very tired, and we want to thank the guests and the viewers for watching our show, and we hope that you'll watch this and go ahead and send this out to all your friends, and please stay tuned for part two, which is going to be even more powerful. So, Carl, any last words you'd like to say before we end tonight?
Well, I appreciate getting, like, having this. To me, what we're doing, we're having a conversation, we're learning together. Same thing we do on the phone sometimes for hours during the week. And this discussion is like I said, we're learning together and we're discovering things together. And I mean, you're opening up a whole new world. You're in these ancient texts. I'm still jumping around in shallow water in the Wycliffe and the Geneva, and finding all kinds of contradictions with the modern translations, including the King James. But now you're taking it on back and you're really hammering this stuff home. And every time I talk to you, I learn something. Every time I do one of these shows, I'm learning something.
Well, bro, we learn from each other, man, and I
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
the kind words, bro. But yeah, that's what it's about, man. It's about learning and like I said earlier, a collective understanding or a collective consciousness, rising our people up through gnosis. Never attack anybody, never talk violent things. You have charlatans out there that'll show Nazi swastikas and pull up AR-15s, and you know that he's nothing but a little shill, drawing people in, trying to attach you to these hate groups. And we're not preaching hate. We're preaching wisdom and knowledge through the hidden mysteries and an understanding of our race and who we are as a people. And be in other words, being that city, that shiny city on the hill, and trying to show people, hey, there's a lot more to the 66 books. So, having said that, Carl, any last thoughts before we end it tonight?
Well, that's it. And I'm looking forward to part two.
Okay, man. God bless everyone. Thank you for joining us. Good night, and may Jesus bless you.
God bless.